Hello everyone, my name is Mageshwaran. My metric number is 23 DLS 20F 2028. Now I am going to explain about the air transportation. The air transportation is the activity that involves in moving goods and people by using different types of aircraft. Example, aeroplanes, helicopters, and so use of air travels has greatly increased in recent decades. Worldwide is doubled between the mid 1980s and the year 2000. Air transportation has the following characteristic. Firstly, this is the fast modes of transportation comparing to other modes. It takes less time to travel comparing to others. Secondly, air transportation provides unbroken journey over land and sea. It's the fastest and quickest means of transportation. It does not need any specific track or nodes. Itself can fly anywhere in the air. The advantage of using this mode is it is comfortable and quick service. It can cover very difficult terrains like high mountains, dry desert and so. Secondly, it does not have any specific traffic problem. Since it does not use specific road and track, so it's fast to travel in the air. This is the best mode of long distance delivery. It's delivered time quickly over long distances. Although there is advantages using this mode, it's still having disadvantages itself. Air transportation limited carrying capacity, so that it's unsuitable for bulky goods. Secondly, air transportation is a costly service. Its operational costs are too high. Lastly, air transport is prone to accident. A small mistake can be very dangerous to human life. There are 5 types of air transportation modes. The first is aeroplanes. The second one is helicopters. The third one is hot air balloons. The fourth one is parachutes. The last one is blimps. Now I am going to explain about the sea transportation. Sea transportation means method of transporting goods and people using watercraft. Example, boats, ships and etc. It can travel around the global through ships with minimal risks. The characteristic of sea transportation is the most using mode of transportation among the business traders. It can be traveled over any distance by using many types of watercraft like boats and ships. It's also large carrying capacity and bulks. The advantages of this transportation is the cost for this transportation is low comparing to others. We can ship large volume at low cost. Maintenance cost is low for this mode. Maintenance cost in rail and road transportation is quite high comparing to this mode. Sea transportation useful for bulky goods. Heavy and bulky goods can be transferred easily. A little road through water transport. The disadvantages is the time taken to travel is longer. This is the slowest mode comparing to others. There is no door-to-door delivery services. The goods bring through the ships only delivered to the ports, example west ports and north ports. Last but not least, we have to pay the duties and taxes to have our goods released into the country. There are 5 types of sea transportation modes. The first one is boats. The second one is bulk carriers. The third one is ships. The fourth one is container ships. And the last one is general cargo ships. Thank you for listening and have a good day.
Hello, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. My name is Muhammad Nazim bin Muhammad Adil. I am from class DLS 1B and my matrix number is 23 DLS, 20F and 2024. So just now, our friend Mageshwaran just explained to us about the air and sea transportation logistic system. So thank you to him for the great explanation. So now my turn. Let's return into pipeline logistics. So first of all, let's jump to the pipeline logistic definition first. The definition of pipeline logistic is pipeline logistic is a movement of liquid things like water, oil and gas using a pipe platform. These pipeline methods are strongly a long-term demand by a customer or user. It is also a defensible technology. It contains a large amount of market opportunity with a low competition. The first question right here is what is its look like exactly? So as you can see in the picture right now, there is a pipeline. So with this pipeline, it can transfer any movement of raw materials or even a liquid, like as you can see water, oil and gas from another place to another place. So now let's jump to the pros and cons in pipeline logistics, or in another term is we can call it as advantage and disadvantages of pipeline logistics. So the pros or the advantage is the most efficient and convenience method for liquid movement, low operating cost, environmental friendly, minimal effect on the transport cost, and speed up the movement of liquid movement. So in the cons or the disadvantages, not flexible because it can only be used at certain fixed point. The capacity cannot be increased once it built up. Difficult to make security management for pipeline, and underground pipeline can be easily repaired if there is any defect happening. Lastly, underwater pipeline is difficult to build. So the next part here is the characteristic of pipeline logistics. So the firstly is it can move large amount of liquid. It can move in a long distance and also at a low cost. The operation is environmental friendly, strong long-term demanded by customer, defensible technology, and also large market opportunity with a little competition. It is exactly show that actually the pipeline logistic give us a lot of advantage uh, even for the industry or even the user or the customer. Alright, so what is it actually the importance of pipeline logistics? So as we can see right here, pipelines are needed to move the raw materials from the areas of production which is too far from another place. So this method will help the process of movement the liquids of raw materials from place to another place. For example, we use pipeline uh, to collect oil which is deep inside the sea. The meaning right here is the pipeline is very useful when we are trying to collect the resource from a difficult place, or even we want to transfer this the resource, the raw materials, to a place that are too far from from the manufacture place. As you can see from the example below, we use pipeline to collect oil which is deep inside the sea. So the question is, if we don't use the pipeline logistic platform, so how can we collect the oil deep inside the surface of the sea? We as a human, we cannot swim into the surface just to collect the oil, because the pressure under the sea is very high, so it can make a people die. So this pipeline method will help us to collect the oil even though the resource is on a difficult place to reach. So pipeline are very important in industry and also in economy. Alright, so now we move to water supply using pipeline. So in this pipeline logistics, we are going to discuss and we are going to talk about three types of uh, pipeline logistic. The first one is a water, the second one is oil and gas. Okay, the third one is gas. So the first one is a water supply. So how can we relate the water supply with this pipeline logistic system? So as we know today, all of us we are using a clean water, right? So where it come actually? Where is it come from? The clean water, where is it come from? So it is exactly come from, as you can see in the picture, it come from the water treatment plant. So in the water treatment plant industry, they use this pipeline logistic platform to process the water. So as you can see in the picture right now, we can see from the middle of the picture, from the river. So they take the water from the river. So the river water is a raw water. It's not healthy. It's not a good condition water. So this water treatment plant industry, they will take the water from the river and then they will use the pipeline to collect the water and then process inside their generator or whatever they call it. So as you can see, they will go from the river, they will move to the raw water pump and then move to the raw water pipeline, and then they will process the water. They will add on some of their recipe to make sure that the water is clean, to separate the bacteria or whatever it is. And then they will go to the filter process, and then they will make sure the water is clean, and yeah, and lastly they will do a balancing reservoir and it will goes to us as the consumer. So the water from the river, they will process to make sure the water clean, and lastly they will transfer to the people. So all of this process from the river until the processing to separate the bacteria or whatever, they use the pipeline. Okay, so pipeline are very important, and there is one of a big related thing inside the logistic system for a movement especially. So here's the another explanation. The water from river water treatment plant and water treatment plant will be processed until 100% trusted, clean and safe to be used as a daily use. It will be transferred to the community to use the water. All of the movement in this method, this process will exactly involve a pipeline logistic like what I explained just now. So here's the picture from the process platform. They will process the water whatever using a pipeline, and then lastly they will transfer the water using also a pipeline to the consumer, to the user. Alright guys, so just now we just talk and discuss about the water supply logistic system. So now we'll jump and move to the oil and gas supply using pipeline. So in oil and gas, we are going to discuss about oil and gas. There are two types of pipelines in this segment, which is the petroleum pipelines and also the natural gas pipeline. So firstly, we are going to talk about the natural gas pipeline first. Sorry, not. The first one is the petroleum pipelines. So in petroleum pipeline, it will bring crude oil or natural gas with three main types of petroleum pipeline. So it is a gathering system, a crude oil pipeline system, and product pipeline system. Okay. Okay. So as we can see right now, there are three main pipeline using in the oil and gas supply pipeline. So the first one is a gathering system pipeline. The second one is a petroleum pipeline, and the second one is a crude oil pipeline, and the third one is a product pipeline system. Alright. So the gathering system pipeline is where the pipeline will collect all of the raw oil from the deep of the surface sea. They will collect, and then from the gathering system, in the gathering system pipeline, it is contain only a raw materials of oil, just only a raw oils. Okay, from the gathering system, they will transfer the oil to the crude oil pipeline system. So inside the crude oil pipeline system, they will process the oil to become a useful oil that we can use as a petrol car, we can use as our daily use for petrol or whatever it is. And they will also process the raw oil from the gathering system inside the crude oil pipeline system, so that this oil is useful, so that they can sell it to another industry, to another country or whatever it is. So from the crude oil pipeline system, when the oil are useful, they will transfer it to another pipeline, which is product pipeline system. So it is where the pipeline will transfer the useful oil to the industry, to the manufacturer, to the country. They will sell the oil. So as you can see in the picture right there, you can see from the offshore of oil and gas platform, and also onshore pump jack. So here's the process, the place where the process of collecting the oil, the raw oil from the deep sea is happening. So after they collect the after they collect the oil, they will transfer it to the process and store. So right here, they will process the raw oil to the useful oil. And lastly, they will use a distribution platform. They will transfer the oil. So right here is happening the movement of oil to the consumer. So let me move to the natural gas pipeline. So actually, the natural gas pipeline, the concept just very same, exactly same with the oil concept. But the difference is the materials. Just now we just talk about the oil. So right now we are going to talk about the gas. So that is just the difference. But there are also three type of pipelines using in the process of collecting the natural gas. So the first pipeline is a gathering system, the second one is a transmission system, and the third one is a distribution system. So all of these three, gathering, transmission, and distribution, these three is involved a pipeline system. So just similar to the petroleum just now, the gathering system will collect the raw material of gas, then it will transfer to the transmission system, where the transmission system will process the gas to become a useful gas so that people or a manufacturing industry can use the gas. And lastly, from the transmission system, where the gas is exactly useful, can be used for a manufacturer, then it will go to the distribution system, where it can move to the consumer lah, to the country, to the people. Okay, so yeah, as you can see in the picture below, from the left picture, the gathering pipelines. Okay, so they will collect the gas, the raw gas, and then they will process the gas inside the processing facility using the transmission pipeline. And then after the process, so they will transfer the useful gas to the distribution pipeline. So it will exactly the final hand will use the gas is the customer, the consumer. Okay. So here is the image of all type of logistics, as we can see, road pipeline, the manufacture pipeline, and also the underground pipeline also, and then the underwater, undersea pipeline. So as we can see, pipeline logistics system is not a new thing inside the industry of logistics actually. And pipeline logistics system is actually very important inside our logistic industry, especially in the movement of a thing, in the movement of a raw material. So as the evidence, as we can see today, all of oil and petroleum, anywhere like Dubai or Malaysia or any country that produce oil and gas, all of them using this platform, which is a pipeline logistic. So not only oil, as I said just now inside my presentation, water also, and also gas or whatever in a liquid method. In a liquid method that can be transferred also by the logistic pipeline. So the conclusion is pipeline logistic is a very important because it will cut the time of a movement. It is also will cut the cost in process in operating the movement of the item of the raw materials, and then it also can deliver the raw materials from a place to another place, even though the place is very long distinct place. So I think that's all from me, Muhammad Nazim bin Muhammad Fadil, matrix number 23 DLS 20F 2034 from class DLS Fahmi. I would like to say thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to Puan Shamaliza and friends. Today I would like to present about the road and rail transportation. Definition of road transport. Road transport is a type of transport by using the road. Rail transport. Rail transport is a means of transferring passengers or goods on wheels vehicles running on rails which are located on track. Road transportation character. Road transport serves the agricultural area by transporting goods. Number 2, roads are used by various categories of vehicles. Number 3, construction and maintenance of road transport is cheaper. Rail transport characteristic. Number 1 is public utility service. Number 2 is huge investment. Number 3 is non-transferability. This is among the road transportation picture. This is among the rail transportation picture. The advantage and disadvantage for road transportation. The advantage is number 1, door-to-door service. Number 2 is flexible service. Number 3 is switchable for short distance. Number 4 is saving in packing cost. The disadvantage. Number 1 is vulnerable to season and weather impact. Number 2 is accident, and number 3 is breakdown on the road. The advantage and disadvantage for rails. The advantage is high speed over long distance. Number 2, cheaper transport. Number 3 is larger capacity. The disadvantage for rails is suitable for short distance and small loads, and lack of flexibility. And lastly is lack of door-to-door service. This is my group members. Me as Muhammad Syafiq Amin bin Roshazi, 23 DLS 20F 2010. Number 2 is Muhammad Nazim bin Muhammad Fadil, 23 DLS 20F 2034. And another one is Mageshwaran anak lelaki Saudara Pandin, 23 DLS 20F 2028. That's all from my group. Thank you.